Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday I'm making an Ammonite. See you in a minute. One of the things I love about working in the shed nowadays is that compared to when I was at work, where there was a fixed schedule of rubbish meetings and management account periods and dates for every month, you've got to do the same thing time and time again. Since I've been released from all that, I've been able to do pretty much anything I like, and it's nice just to have massive variety of things that sort of come in, from straightforward repairs and things to really odd requests. And we've had a few over the years, and many of them have come from my daughter. I think we started off with cake stands where I was having to make supports for, I think there was a railway engine for a cake, and there was certainly the Gruffalo and something else, I can't remember what now, but just making the formers for those cakes. And then she wanted Lego brick shelves for my grandson's bedroom and door handles for the wardrobes and things. That was all Lego themed, and we got involved in doing a bit of resin casting on those. And then of course we got into the bus bunk bed, which was pretty large as a project, but it was interesting and different. And recently we've had the Harry Potter stuff, so there's always something weird coming in from my daughter. And while we were down there at Christmas, she came up with a photograph of yet again an Etsy thing she'd found for an Ammonite, which was about £140, something like that. It's resin cast. But she wanted to incorporate something like that into a door of a unit in the living room. So she only wanted a half relief, if you like, but she would have needed two of them. Now, I wasn't really happy about the idea of cutting one of those things in half. I know resin cuts nicely, but it's about getting on for a foot in diameter, 30 centimetres, something like that. And we've got a bandsaw at Menin Sheds, which is at the moment not operable because we're not working with the machinery at the moment. But even then I think we'd probably be hard pushed, and to get a cut on something that's not very stable vertically, 300mm, is something I wouldn't really be very happy with. But I said, leave it with me and I'll go away and have a look at it. So I dived into Thingiverse, which is my go-to place for anything 3D printed, and sure enough there were half a dozen different schemes for Ammonites that I could 3D print, and they all seemed to sort of work perfectly well when I put them into my little slicing program. And I ran off a test one. I just dropped one in and split it in half effectively, printed it, and that's come out. And apart from the size, which is too small, but it was just to give an idea, I gave it a quick spray of, because I did it in black, gave it a quick spray with grey paint, and even without any work on it, it was looking pretty good. There is one issue with it in that it's got a thing on the edge. It was a complete full size, full thickness one. There's a thing on the edge which is, I think it's like a braille that probably tells you what it is. So I've got to actually cut that off and somehow come up with a way of filling that, but I think we're on the right lines. But because I'd done it half relief, and I didn't think it would matter when it was put on a door or anything, if it was all painted, you wouldn't see the middle bit being, missing, wouldn't matter. But my daughter said no, she wanted it a bit deeper, and if possible with the centre filled in. And of course it's got to be about twice the size. So I've resliced it, altered the size in the machine, and now I've just got to wait 2 or 3 days for it to finish printing, and we'll see what we get at the end of it. So for those that don't know 3D printing and haven't done any, this is what a file looks like when it goes into the slicing program that I use. What that's effectively doing is taking a picture, if you like, at every 0.2 of a millimetre, so that it can map out where the nozzle has got to go on the printer itself. So that is the size that we have that has produced the first iteration that we did, but I want to make it bigger now. It's fairly easy to take that and make it 200% instead of 100%, and that's it. And you notice it's changed from yellow to a funny sort of striped colour, and the reason for that is that it's too big for the bed. Now that's not always the case. It may well just be that it's in the wrong place and that it's actually sticking out one side, which it looks like it is there. So it is possible to move it sideways still just a bit too big. So let's see if we made it a little bit smaller. Made it 190, not 190, 190, 190%. Now it goes back to its colour, and that would happen if you went up too high, too much to the right, too much to the left, too much forwards, too much backwards. However, you will notice that a peculiarity that seems to be there that I can take advantage of is that if it goes below the bed, it doesn't seem to worry it too much. And that is in fact how I'm getting the half thickness on this Ammonite. What I'm doing is turning it round so that it's lying flat, first of all, which you can do. And then you can see that is now quite far below the top layer. If I made it a bit less far down, minus 50, that's minus 50 mil, so that's 50 millimeters of the Ammonite is below the table, but we've still got that hole in the middle. So we want to come up just a little bit until we've got that gone, and that's that point, which is about 47 millimeters below the table. And that is in fact what I can now slice up and print. Any areas that are red, it means it's not being supported underneath, so I'm not in the right place. I can tell that now because I've got too much there. Minus 47. There we are. The red bits you can see are where there's no support, and the program will generate support, because obviously you can't just print that bit in mid-air. It is possible for it to step out a bit, but it will automatically generate support if I tell it to. So that's got the Ammonite roughly to the right size now. Still got this bit on it which I can't get rid of physically or within the program. I'm going to have to cut that off afterwards, I think, but again, that's my lack of knowledge rather than the fact that it couldn't be done. So we'll just slice that now, and it will tell me roughly how long it's going to take to print, and it's usually reasonably accurate, and it also tells you how much material it's going to use. There are things I can adjust which I've already set up, which are the density of the support work inside it and things like that, but this will just give us an idea. It's one of those things that's fascinating when you think how much it's doing. It's taking a 0.2 millimeter layer all the way up that. It's going to take 2 days and 2 minutes. It's going to use 424 grams of resin, of filament I mean. So effectively it's probably going to cost about £5 in filament to do, and we can then set it up to do that. So we'll put that onto a card, take it out to the printer, put it in and set it going. So here we are 2 days on with the first of the big prints. One of the reasons that I also found later that I couldn't have used the resin one and cut it in half was that when I offered my daughter the opportunity to have one of them that way round and one of them effectively that way round, so that the image was reversed, which is again a really simple thing to do, she said no, she wanted them both the same. So we would have had to have bought two at £100 and something each to get what she wants. So the only thing I've got to do now is remove some of the support that is generated here under this part here. You can see it's been taken out of that one, and normally it just flakes away quite easily, but you can see the sort of structure inside that is built up and how it takes so long to do it, and you can sort of probably see all the layers there that are laid down. So that needs a clean up probably with a bit of sandpaper now. But one of the things about this, because it's like a rough fossil anyway, it really doesn't matter that much by the time you've just put a coat of paint on it, and I suspect some of that stone type finish paint would be good for them. It'll work, and my daughter can do whatever she wants to by way of making it look more like a proper fossil. But I have got to just cut this piece off and use probably car body filler just to fill in that rough edge. Having got the two Ammonites printed now, I've cut both the pieces off that were sticking out in the bottom. Time to get a bit of body filler on the go. I'm going to use some of the car body filler that I use, mix that up, and we can just start and feed it into these gaps and then smooth it all over afterwards. I'm not going to get too excited about the finish on it because it's going to be painted by my daughter anyway, so I'm not going to get involved in that side of things. Right, see how that goes. I usually end up putting too much hardener in the filler, but again in this instance it probably won't matter if it goes off quickly, because it just, when it goes off, it starts to get a texture on it when you try and handle it or do anything with it, which is good. That will be just what I want. I'm just going to squeeze it into the gaps in here. Now the filler is starting to go off. Well, it's gone off pretty much now, so I'm just knocking back all the little raised bumps that I'd made on it, and it's left a sort of a textured finish on it there that I'm just blending in with the original 3D printed Ammonite around the edges, and hopefully by the time this is then sprayed in a few minutes, it won't look particularly out of place. Just following the contours of the original. See if we can carry them on I think that's satisfactory now. It's got a suitably sort of crusty finish on it that blends into the shell. We'll just try it with a spot of grey primer and see if it looks, or if it dissolves into the ammonite itself, if you like. Well, that's another odd job done in the shed. We've got a pair of these little ammonites to be able to be incorporated into furniture or something. I think they're going on doors or something of a unit in the living room, but I'll leave the rest for my daughter to do all the fancy painting on, but another little job out of the way. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to seeing you next time. We'll be doing something different in the shed. See you then. Bye.